Welcome back to the Red Dice Diaries, and this is a video response to a comment by Stuart Armstrong on the YouTube RPG Brigade Facebook group. And in it, Stuart says, as a GM, I have the informal rule that every dice roll could potentially lead to some exciting description and action. So I dislike initiative rolls a lot. On average, you get one turn between each of your actions. Initiative rolls clutter things up, waste time, and their only effect is to mean that sometimes your actions are close together and sometimes they're far apart. I prefer to keep a fixed turn order between players and enemies. The only variable is who gets the very first action. After that, the order is easy and standard, and everyone gets one action per turn as before. There is just no formal beginning or end to the turn. Stuart then asks, do others feel that initiative has some hidden attraction that I'm missing? Well, Stuart, I'm also not a massive fan of initiative, to be perfectly honest. I can see why it's used because it's a simple way of representing an order that things happen in a combat. However, it's always felt a little bit skirmish, wargamey, or board game-like, to my mind. During non-combat time in RPGs, we don't require rolls generally to determine who goes when. That's determined by the actions that people are undertaking and the general flow of the story. So it's always seemed odd to me, anyway, that combat almost feels like a separate sub-game that's bolted onto, certainly in a lot of RPGs. Now, personally, I prefer to use an approach that I first came across in Dungeon World, where the GM asks people what they are doing in an order based on the action unfolding. So, for instance, I might say, Mike the Ogre is bearing down on your paladin, spittle dribbling from his chin as he hefts his mighty war club. You're still lying on the floor from where his last blow almost caved in your chest. What are you going to do? After Mike's action, I might then turn to another player and say, the paladin is slowly rising to his feet as the ogre aims another brutish blow at his chest. He barely manages to parry it with his sword, and the sword skitters off into the darkness. Kate, what does your rogue do? Now, this approach isn't for everyone, and it does rely on a level of trust and ability in the GM to make sure that everyone gets to act, since there's a lot more placed in the hands of the GM in this system rather than just leaving it down to the dice or skill ranks. But to my mind, it captures the swirling chaos of a melee or whatever combat far better than a simple initiative roll or orderly turns do. Like I say, it's not for everyone, but it's certainly a system I vastly prefer. And I think if you have a good GM and one that you trust, and you're willing to place your faith in the story rather than in a set stat, as it were, then this approach can be very enjoyable, and I'd certainly urge people to give it a try. So, let me know what you think about this in the comments box below, or hit me up in Google+. I hope you've enjoyed this video response, and you'll click on like and subscribe to the channel. We put out new videos every week. Until I see you next time, thank you very much for watching and for listening. Take care.